Welcome in to this week's episode of Home and Home with Chase Thomas of the Chase Thomas Podcast here on the More Important Issues YouTube page. Always appreciate you guys listening. Make sure you're subscribed as we put out this content every other week. But on those off weeks, you can find us over on the Chase Thomas Podcast. Make sure you are also subscribed to his YouTube so you can follow along. I apologize if I look tired, guys. It's late. It is 12 o'clock Eastern time. But we just wrapped up a great, I wouldn't call it an interview, just episode. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to call it. Not a tell-all. Let's not get that deep. But a 2.5-hour special episode with assistant Vol baseball coach Ross Kivett. We appreciate his time. We love any chance we get to hang out with him. So I'm telling you this so you can make sure that you're subscribed, because that's going to release on opening day on Friday, February 14th. Also Valentine's Day. So a lot of stuff going on, but make sure you find time to listen to 2.5 hours. It is fun. I am not lying to you. A phenomenal 2.5 hours. I loved every minute of it, and we really, really appreciate his time as we're fired up for this Tennessee baseball season. Hope you guys enjoy it as well. Make sure again that you are subscribed on YouTube, or you're following us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you get your information, your news, so that you can stay up to date as we keep trying to bring some of this fun, unique content to you. We've had several Vol baseball players and coaches on this season. We'll add one of our favorites, Ross Kivett, to it, and make sure you guys check it out. Hope you enjoy. Hope you also enjoy this episode of Home and Home with Chase Thomas.
Home run, slam dunks, give him six. Boys at MII, they got your big orange face. All year long is a place to be, to hear some balls for life, talking Tennessee. You can hate us if you want, but we sure ain't worried about you. We got more important issues.
Welcome into another episode of Home and Home with More Important Issues here on More Important Issues, wherever you're watching YouTube. Maybe you found us on Facebook. I don't know. Some people do that. Of course, with our good friend Chase Thomas of the Chase Thomas Podcast, it is our turn to host. We do so graciously, but we will boo him out of the tunnel. We will boo him back into the tunnel. And if you're like me, if you sat in the south end zone as a child, when you walk through the corridors of Neyland, back there in the depths, you used to be able to see the away team tunnel where they'd make their turn to the locker room. And my dad would let me stand there and yell, not inappropriate things. He had a line that could not be crossed, but he would let those who were bold enough to come into Neyland, let them know how big of losers they were. So that was always fun. So we will do that to you as the gracious host we are, but it's good to have you in here on this fine, beautiful weather-wise Tuesday evening.
Man, it's terrible here. Like, we can just go ahead and say it. Like, it's fitting that we're playing Kentucky right before this recording, where the weather seems to always be terrible in the state of Kentucky. Every time you see it, you're just like, is this the weather every day? Is it just kind of just what it is in Kentucky? But yeah, man, I will say it seems like it's fun to, as I've gotten to know you guys over the last couple months, like one of the fundamental differences between you and I and Landon too is that, man, yeah, when you're talking about like yelling at players and like getting in the tunnel and like being extra, like really extrovert activities of like, that's not me. I can go an entire game without saying a word. Like I'm the pacer. I'll just have, this is me for an entire Tennessee football game that I'm at. That's just me. Like, I'm just sitting there thinking the whole time, not like any yelling. The worst thing people can do is like turn to me and be like, "Oh, what do you think about blah?" It's like, "Hey, we'll circle back. We'll circle back here in a couple hours. Now is not the time."
I wish I could do that. I envy that. I don't know if Landon's the same. It's why putting Wi-Fi in the stadium was the worst thing for my just my mental well-being, because I used to not be able to fire off hot takes in the middle of games. Now I can, which is dangerous. Yeah. And I in games I just get riled up. I I'll embarrass myself sometimes. Like I'll say stuff that I'll yell stuff I don't want to, or say stuff I don't want to, or in the heat of the moment. If it wasn't in the heat of the moment, I never would have done it. Probably my most embarrassing one was, and why am I blanking on his name now? The guy who threw 2 back-to-back interceptions against Kentucky.
JT
in 2020. JT Shrout against South Carolina was rushing towards the east side. Failed to stick he was a half a yard short of a first down. Failed to just stick the ball out. And I'm yelling how bad of a call that is, because there's no way a quarterback wouldn't just stick his arm out. That would be the dumbest thing in the world to not do that. Of course he did that. And then me and a South Carolina fan get into it. Before I even realized, I was already embarrassed. It almost ended up in a fight. And before I even realized, I was already embarrassed. But then they show the replay, and sure enough, he did not just stick his arm out for a first down. So then I look like an idiot while also wishing I had not done that. So I wish I could be an introvert. That's a long way to say I wish I just would keep my mouth shut sometimes.
But there is the fun part of like that's a story there for you. Like you have stories from being really, really energetic and really involved in the games, and like that's how you meet people around you, and kind of like we're all in this together type of feel. And if it's a long, memorable game, like it's fun. Like we were bundled up, like every Georgia Tennessee game that I've been in Knoxville of late, it's like super cold and everyone's bundled up and everyone's like, how's it going to go? And you're like, probably not good. And you just kind of are like, hey, you never know. And like, if you're there for that moment, maybe it's this year where things flip, it's going to be cool to be like, that just happened. Did Tennessee just beat Georgia for the first time in forever? That's fun. Like that's part of the experience, but it is something where that's not my natural tendency. If you see me at a game, I'm usually just taking it all in, or at the house, I'm just writing stuff down in my notepad like I'll do after this.
Well, let me kick off some questions then, and I want to start with Landon, because I think I have like how I would describe Landon in this scenario. For me, I'm very much an introvert, but I have extroverted tendencies, and Tennessee athletics usually brings that out in me. If I'm out in public and I see, not necessarily Knoxville, but especially if I'm traveling and I see a Tennessee hat, go Vols, high five, whatever, maybe chat it up if they want to. Or at sporting events, I'm high-fiving. I will hug people if we score touchdowns that I don't know. Whereas wouldn't talk to that person otherwise. Wouldn't even try. Landon, I know you'll tackle people. Do you view yourself like, would you do that outside of a sporting event or a Tennessee sporting event? Or is that just something that Tennessee brings out in you?
Yeah, I think it definitely brings it out of me. And I'm one of those people that like during a game, I'm even keel until we like do something great. And then I'll stand up and cheer. But I'm not like, me and my dad could go all 4 quarters and not say a single word to each other. We do it at baseball games too. Not say a word.
Baseball's the worst. That's the one you got to. That's why I had such a, like my grandfather, my late grandfather and I were so close. We went, growing up in Georgia, we went to so many he was a Georgia Tech alum, and we went to so many games, Georgia Tech baseball. And that's like how I got into college baseball. And like, we just had this unspoken thing. Like we got our burgers and we had our fries and like a Coke, and like we might look over and be like, do you see what he's throwing? Like what does that hit? Like at like the 6th inning, and I'm like 12, 13, but we had this mutual understanding of like, yeah, we're just taking it in. We're watching the game. Weather's great. And great view out for the good folks who haven't been to a Georgia Tech baseball game. It's a great view. Skyline, the Atlanta skyline is all in the back. It's an all-time great college baseball venue. But yeah, I'm the same way. Landon is a long way of me saying that.
So I like to stand up and cheer, and that's about. Or I'll just be like, "Hey, Dad, that was horrible." So I'll do little subtle comments like that.
I've sat with you all at a few games, and it definitely is a quieter than most. But the way me and my brothers particularly interact at games, especially football, we'll talk to each other, but we don't necessarily have conversations. We will get like, mostly it's usually in anger, because we just kind of let each other have it. Like, yeah, you get angry about what you want to get angry about. And so sometimes it's the same thing, but we're kind of just talking out loud, both hearing each other. And we don't necessarily converse back and forth. We just converse about the game. Do you all have similar experiences, or is it just when it's anger, it's just quiet?
Yeah, it's very much of like, I say something, he responds, and that's it. There's no like
But
going back.
not to you, just out into the universe.
Yeah. It's very
Okay.
much just like talking out loud.
Interesting. Now I gotta think about it. I mean, I watch a lot of games by myself. Like part of it is like,
Yeah.
or my wife, like that's really, and she's not really asking me questions. She's doing other stuff while watching the game with me. A lot of the times, like I think it's just kind of understood. Like everyone in my life, in my personal life, just knows how I watch games now. Like I'm 33 and they just know how I am. So it's like kind of this unspoken thing is just that like, hey, like Chase is not gonna be, he's a tough hang for a Tennessee game because you're not gonna get a lot out of him. Like it's just, it feels like I'm working. It's probably the best way of describing it. It's like me watching games is like me working it. Like I watch it the same way I watch, like I did Warriors Bulls on Sunday morning because I wanted to see how Jimmy fit in with Steph, and I'm a huge NBA guy too. So like I'm watching that and taking notes and stuff like that. But I'm just kind of the same way. I will say though, I don't know if what y'all's answer to this would be. I'm curious, but the one that got me like, you're not gonna believe this. Tennessee beating Alabama was a big deal, but when that happened, like the kick happened, I had a broken foot from my wedding, and I was in a walking boot, right? And this was, I guess, a month and a half after I did it, or maybe just a month, and it's not fully healed yet. And that game, like the McGrath kick, I'm in my living room because I can't go to that game in person, and something magical happened because I leapt up in the air, not thinking about the fact that I have a broken foot, and I wasn't thinking about how I'm going to land on this foot, but I hopped up, and when I tell you that's like a top 5 feeling all time for me is Tennessee, like seeing that go, because I just thought that had no chance. Like I thought that knuckleball had no chance of getting in, and like to see that, like it just, I have no idea. It was just a really, really great. It's like hearing levels for the first time is how I would explain that. And you just hop up and you're just like, what just happened? And I just remember hitting the ground and being like, oh my God. And I wanted to make sure I did not re-break my foot. And it was one of those like, what was I thinking? But at the same time, like just unbelievable. So that there are moments sometimes where I still just am like, wow, that was awesome. And you know, that's one of the great things about sports is sometimes things can come out of you where you're like, is that me? what just happened?
Do you
Did I pee myself?
Yeah.
do you attend games by yourself ever, Chase? Or is that a tough thing for you to do?
I don't really want to go to a game by myself. I will say that. Like unless I'm like literally at the press box, like covering, I'm not gonna go sit in the stands by myself. Like that's not really my deal. You're
saying that's weird?
Yeah, that's just. It's not like going to the movies. Like the movies by yourself. Oh, I could do that every day of the week. Like going to the movies by yourself.
I don't think that's weird either. Bro, I want to preface that, but I would think going to a game by myself is, I'm not really by myself. Like there are those like me. I've been to concerts by myself, games. And I view those as everyone there, or at least in sporting events, half of them call it, are they're like-minded people. We're there for the same reason. And I don't know. It's a different experience than going with friends. Cause I'm not tailgating. I'm not going to a bar before. But it's a game, and I've only done it for games. I felt like I shouldn't say only. 90% of the ones I've done, it's been because I needed to go. Like Tennessee in the 2019 SEC championship got thumped by Auburn. Went by myself for that. That was a lot of fun. And then I went last year for the Texas game, the round of 32. That would have been. So yeah, it's more like normally if I'm going by myself, it's like nobody else would go, and this is a game I feel like you have to go to, kind of deal.
I think I've been to a couple of Tennessee baseball games by myself, especially like when it was the standing room only, where it was like a Sunday afternoon where I'm like, my wife didn't want to go, and I'm like, I kind of want to be able to leave if it gets out of hand really quick. And like this was back when I was in grad school, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go. Like I think I'm just gonna go pop in. Like I did a lot of my schoolwork on Sunday afternoons into the evenings, and I would be like, all right, I'm gonna take a break. I'm just gonna go walk over and watch Tennessee baseball all Sunday afternoon, and then go back to the library. So I did that several times. And baseball is definitely the one I think is the easiest to go to by yourself because it's
Absolutely.
already kind of a quiet hangout sport anyway.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, that was totally fine. So I would say you could do that pretty easily at a baseball game, and you have space to hang out and just kind of people will leave you be. Football, it's awkward because like you're already crammed together in Neyland. It's just one of those where if you're by yourself going into like it's a lot of work to just get to your seat at a Tennessee game. Like you're putting in work to just get concessions, to sit down, to go through just the hundreds of the 100,000+ fans. Like you're earning that seat when you're going to a Tennessee game. So I could never see myself going to a Tennessee football game by myself because I just think it's too much. Like you need somebody else. You need other people to bounce stuff off and to like experience it with because it's a commitment. Does that make sense?
It does, but I differ for a lot of reasons. Routine being one of them. I don't like being held up because someone's got to go to the bathroom at a time we don't go to the bathroom here, or the concession stands when we
Hold
don't
on.
go.
Do you have requirements on when you can go to the bathroom at a Tennessee football game?
Not, I mean, for me personally, yes.
What's the routine?
You go in, unless like you walk by an empty concession line or an empty bathroom line.
Yeah.
You should have done that outside. We tailgate all day. We have plenty of time to eat. Unless it's empty, then you pop in and you get a smoky dog with mustard.
Okay.
And a Coke, and you go straight to your seat or bathroom if it's empty. And then, I mean, bathroom, not a requirement, but let's not make it an all game situation. Like, be considerate of everyone around you, right?
I'm going to show this to my wife and see what she thinks about that.
It is nice.
I have this one too when it comes to the food part of it. My wife, I don't know if y'all significant other feels about this, but she's a Petros person when she goes to Tennessee football games. And I just am like, there's just some like Petros is fine, not a sponsor, could be, but I think it's weird at a football game. I think it's weird to get some Petros, like to have like a full on.
In August, yes.
Yeah, like it's just, but she loves it. It's part of it. But I'm just like, there's just something off about it. Where I see it, I'm like, where are you right now? Like, this doesn't feel you gotta get your head in the game. Like we're in Neal, like this is Tennessee Georgia. What are we doing? What do we got Petros in here? I don't know. Petros just feels out of place to me whenever I see it at a Tennessee game.
While I agree that, yeah, let's not be going and eating dinner at the game. Like,
yeah, that's what it feels
things
like.
to do. It is nice to be like, oh, you're going, or I'm hungry, but I don't want to go stand in line. You don't necessarily, you're not dying to sit in this seat, scrunch between us. Take my wallet, get me a pretzel, and you get whatever you want. And you got your own butler, I guess. So you're a waitress.
Well, I'm coming to see Caleb every single game.
No, I'm not the one that does it. I'm not the one that does it. You know how many games I've been to, especially in Neyland, where I will not move from my seat the entire game because it's so much of a hassle.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'll use your card.
Oh, I mean, that's if you go get my drink, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, hey, we got limits over here, but
it's also, I mean,
you can get away with it once.
There are people who will stand in line for an entire quarter.
Yeah, that's
first. I'm just like, what are we doing? Just go home. Like, if you're willing to wait for a quarter, the line is so long. Like, I remember looking over and they like get back and I'm like, what are you doing? You missed the entire second quarter of Tennessee, Florida. What are you doing? Why are you here? Is it really that important to double fist like some Coors Lights right now? Like that pregame, man, or just go after. What are you doing?
One beer at the Alabama game, even one. You 100% missed at least one Jalen Hyatt touchdown.
Yeah.
Historical performance. Minimum of one. You can't tell me anyone.
I'd be sick to my stomach. I would be so sick because I have like that FOMO where you hear the crowd roar and everything. And you're like, something awesome just happened. And
you just take off running.
Yeah. So I'm definitely with you. I'm not getting up. I rarely get up when I'm situated. Like we're in there. We're locked in.
Oh yeah. I will piss on myself before I go up there.
A lot of pee in yourself talk. A lot of it tonight. That's twice, Landon. We get the camera going. Like that's it's getting out of hand now. All right, let's get into the meat of the show here. It's already been mentioned, but Tennessee does tip off at 7 p.m. By the time you see this tomorrow, you'll know the outcome. Tennessee at Kentucky. Tennessee, number one seed projected by Joe Lunardi just earlier today. He is the voice of the committee, which means the committee is leaning that way, or he wouldn't put it out. There are 8-4 versus quad one teams. is this a team that you see being number one as of right now, or number one seed right now, or are they too inconsistent, Chase?
I think the schedule puts them there. Like, I think they got through a lot of the just kind of landmines early on. Like, I like tonight. We'll see how it goes, but I think Tennessee, I'm expecting them to win this game. No Jackson Robinson for Kentucky. I have a hard time believing Pope's going to sweep Barnes this year, and Tennessee's not going to have, not going to be really amped up for this game after what happened, and kind of an embarrassing home loss, most embarrassing home game of the season for Tennessee against Kentucky. And you get Vanderbilt at home. You should win there. You get Alabama, who's right in that one seed conversation, at home, and Tennessee swept Bama last year. Barnes traditionally has played Nate Oates really well and his style really well. So I think Tennessee will have a really good shot to win there. I think their toughest game left on the calendar, honestly, is at A&M. We saw what that looked like last year. I think that one will be a really tough one to go into College Station and win. That's going to be probably pretty messy, but LSU still on the schedule. Ole Miss, I think you'll be in good shape for. They basically run similar style to what Barnes runs, and just Barnes and Tennessee is just a better version of that. I think they'll be able to win that one. So I do think the schedule lines up for them as long as they take care of business tonight in Lexington and if you beat Alabama and you take care of business tonight, I think you're in really good shape of being a one seed. I also just think like we're getting closer and closer to this point where, and I'm curious where y'all feel about this, but I think the Gainey stuff, like Barnes has to at some point admit, like the numbers bear it out, like the 2-man lineups with Jordan Gainey are just better. Like Jordan Gainey should be starting for Tennessee now. Like that has to change. Maybe it changes tonight. I don't know, but this team is better with Jordan Gainey on the floor with their 5. I think Chaz, Sakai, Igor, Akpara is your best 5. And Jemai is your guy, your supercharged defensive guy off the bench. So if like you're struggling defensively in the first 5 minutes, you're like, all right, Jemai, get in there and calm things down. But I think Tennessee starts slow a lot of times, and obviously they blew out Oklahoma on Saturday, but that was more about just the personnel, and Oklahoma's just really bad perimeter defense, and that was kind of an outlier, I think, in SEC play. But I think this team feels like a 1 seed the most when Gainey's on the floor with the starters. I don't think they feel like a 1 seed with Meshack and Akpara and some of the limitations they have offensively when those 5 are out. Because I don't think that will be their closing 5 come tournament time. And I think you really needed to maximize how much those 5 are on the floor, because I think Gainey's one of your 5 best players, and the offense is just a lot better. And the numbers bear that out, is that at a certain point, we're here in mid-February, I think Jordan Gainey's got to be a starter sooner rather than later. I don't know if that's controversial, but it's just something that I think you have to make that adjustment.
Well, you jumped ahead to my next talking point. It came out today that I don't know if this is top 25. I didn't count it, but a quick screen grab that was tweeted out by College Basketball Analytics showed what Chase was talking about, Landon, that Jordan Gainey is ranks amongst the best as far as 2-man game goes, with Chaz Lanier, Felix Akpara, Zakai Ziegler, and then Igor Milicic, in that order. Does Barnes and company look to make a shift to Gainey starting? Is it one of those that is he working best as a 6th man? Lineups in basketball oftentimes get overlooked, in my opinion. Not to say they shouldn't make the switch, but I think you talk about this a lot in baseball. There's not always a rhyme or a reason to fitting the pieces of the puzzle together. So is this too late in the year? Are you kind of like, is it really broken? Or do we go ahead and try to fix it? Is Jordan Gainey a guy that starts for you, Landon?
I mean, I think it is, like, especially on the road, like, huge for teams to start fast. Like, those road teams need to start fast, need to hit more shots. And I just think you're better offensively with Jordan Gainey. No offense to Jemai, but the offense just isn't there. And so when you're looking at, like, is this team like a 1 or 2 seed? I think the difference is probably Jordan Gainey. And so why not try it, I guess, is where I'm at, and see if it works. If it doesn't, then you just go back. But I also don't think that really starting is the end all be all either. I just think Gainey probably needs a little bit more minutes.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would like to see us start early. So maybe that's your way to do that is to start Gainey. So I'd be interested to see kind of what they do tonight because I think Barnes is a little bit a creature of habit, and Jemai is one of his guys. So I don't know if I see it, but it would be interesting to see how it. Because I guess like if you don't do it tonight, I mean, we probably don't see it, right?
I think there's, and maybe you all differ, but I think when you look at the schedule, there's still places it could happen. In fact, I think this would be when you look at the schedule with Vanderbilt, LSU, South Carolina, because in my mind, it's something you want to see before tournament time. Not necessarily because it's not like you're retrofitting an entire new lineup if you do that. Jemai just becomes your sixth man. The minutes probably still stay the same, I would imagine, outside of matchup details that happen different every game. It's something you'd want to see available in tournament time. So I think you have some games that maybe you can do something slightly more uncomfortable and still be okay in. So I don't think tonight's the end all be all, but I would say if they're going to do it, it's going to be in a road matchup. And yeah, maybe this is the one. I mean,
Against a team fast against, right?
Yeah. And I mean, a team that you struggled shooting against, and I mean, not that Gainey was the entire reason that Florida game flipped, but that was a game he started. Now you were missing two key pieces in that game. So you can't really explain that Florida game to me other than Tennessee just flat out dominated in every aspect, including shooting the ball really, really well.
I think they got up for it. Like I remember I was talking to a good friend at the pod, Shumpert, about it. Of like Gainey just gets up for those Nozick high games, especially, and I think Tennessee just like that was just a Rick Barnes special of like they get up for those. Just no one believes that we can do anything because our best player is out. All right, we're just gonna go put Florida in a blender here. I don't think that was sustainable because there were some takes of like, is the Ewing theory was the guy? It's like, no, Zakai Ziegler is Tennessee's best player, and it's really not even close. And had very much needed him, and he was awesome again on Saturday. Now, we'll say there are people who are going to be surprised when Zakai goes 1 for 10 from 3 again here in the next week because he's really been awesome this past week from deep. But that's the Sakai experience. It's like I don't think he's turned because like I think Chaz has turned the corner in his shooting in some ways that I think is sustainable. Igor especially, I think his is sustainable. But Zakai I think is just going to still be like he's going to have these 5 for 5 3-point performances, where you're like, man, everything's great because I am okay with the shot selection. It's either at the rim or an open 3 for Tennessee, so I'm okay with it. But
there are some forced threes early in the shot clock.
It doesn't happen that often, though. Like, it does. It's not really his game. Like, he won't do it that
wouldn't
often.
You feel, if I just looked at his 3-point percentage and I was able to say, you don't have those forced ones early in the shot clock, I would go to bat for him 100 times out of 100 and saying, shut up, you don't know ball. He shoots how he should shoot. But it's just those few for the guy that you're like, you operate the offense.
Yeah.
You can't have those guarded early in the shot clock, not great look threes. Like if you're taking them early, they should be great looks, not bad.
Well, you want Chaz to be doing that theoretically.
Chaz,
that's who you want to do it because he has such
a quick
release,
space,
and if you're not set, like he's pulling up, and you're like, it's already up, and like he's your best shooter. And I think what you saw on Saturday, and this is something I've had this theory, and I'm curious if y'all have it, but like I think what you're going to see here down the stretch of some of these bad teams that Tennessee's got on the schedule, and then come tournament time, I think he is going to get a lot more openings to go off, like 20-point games. Like you saw Oklahoma's, like if you're not pressing and you're not very physical at Chaz, the confidence he gets and just how quick his release is, he can score 20 very, very quickly. And I think that's going to happen. I think Chaz is going to be really good for Tennessee in the tournament. But I do think he just has not handled the SEC physicality well. And we'll see how he handles it tonight against Kentucky. But he's going to feast in his spots. Like, I think it's just kind of he is who he is at this point. But I thought he passed the ball a lot better on Saturday. Best he's probably played in that regard. Best complete game he's played at Tennessee, I think, in conference play, all things considered. But I think I would buy some Chaz stock down the stretch here and going into tournament time, because I think he's going to play some bad perimeter defenses, and I think he's going to play less physical teams who have kind of given him trouble. And when he gets those opportunities, I think he's going to take advantage of more of them, because I think he's an elite shooter.
Well, and Landon, I want to get your thoughts on that, on how Chaz will fare later in the season. I think one thing he did better against Oklahoma, and I'd be interested to go back and watch the Florida game and see if this is the case, Missouri game. And I thought he did better of getting looks later in the shot clock. He's oftentimes your first look, and if it's not there, he kind of goes away, and you don't have him for a possession. I think he's doing – let's knock down some more of those, but I think he's doing a better job of getting those opportunities. And if that's the case, even against defenses like Kentucky, who swarmed you last time and really did a good job of creating havoc on the offensive end, you're at least still in the fight there.
I think they're doing a better job of getting in better positions to score the basketball, whether that's coming off a screen on the elbow right there, or screen up top to give him some room where he can dribble and get to the rim. I think he does fine when he actually goes to the rim. It just doesn't happen very often. And I think it's different with Dalton, because Knecht just could take somebody to the rim. And I don't think Chaz has that step, and he's not as tall as Dalton Knecht. So they're just different players. But I think they've done a lot better job of getting him going early, and then getting him some open shots to get his he's shooting with confidence right now. That's the main thing. When he's shooting with confidence, he's one of the best in the country. When he's not, it's horrendous.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When he's on, he's on. Unfortunately,
but he also just doesn't. He has the kind of game where he's a supercharged Tyreke Key. Like he's not going to be anywhere close to Dalton. Like Igor's a lot more like Dalton in his game. Chaz is going to have minutes where he's going to go 10 minutes. And like, what was the first half against Mizzou? He had one shot and 14 minutes where you're like, how does that happen?
2 shots at halftime.
Yeah. Like that can't happen, but it will happen, because Chaz is like, that is the Chaz Lanier experience. Like he's going to have he'll go 3 for 4 from deep in like 2.5 minutes. And then it's like, goodbye for the next 10. Cause he's not an elite passer. He's not a great defender. He doesn't he struggles dribbling with guys on him. It's not his natural skill set. Like he's a come off screens, like come off pin downs, open threes in transition. Like he has this thing, but he doesn't want to dribble. Like he just wants to get shots up. And he's really, really good at it. And it's why he's probably, I think, has a good shot at sticking in the NBA for a while. But I just think that's kind of what you're gonna have to accept, is like, you're gonna look at the box score and you're like, why does Chaz, like we're down 7, we're not shooting the ball well, and Chaz has 1 shot here in like 13 minutes. What are we doing? And then you just gotta be like, well, that's for right now, but it just takes 2 minutes for him to like have a huge impact and swing a game. Like that's just how it is. It's gonna be frustrating, because you're gonna look at his stat line and you're gonna be like, well, what? It's like the whole the Office Space of like, tell me what do you actually do here? Can you tell us what you actually do here? Because like that's how his box score looks for like 3/4 of most games, and then you blink and it's like, oh, Chaz has got 18 again, and you're like, where did that come from? But I think that's just the Chaz Lanier experience.
Yeah, great.
Tyreke Key comparison, that made me a little sick in my stomach.
But is that wrong? Is he not like a supercharged Tyreke Key?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I would like to put an emphasis on supercharge.
Tyreke Key was okay. Tyreke Key was okay.
Would like to note that up until like 3 months ago, you could still get a Tyreke Key NIL jersey at the Ball Shop. It might still be available. According to Chase, that is of similar value to Chaz Lanier. So maybe go get it.
Am I crazy? Like that's who he, like you watch these games, that's who he is. Like Tyreke Key would do the same thing. Tyreke Key would coast. Like it's Victor Bailey kind of did this too.
Catfish of all time when he put up that 30 points against whoever that was in the exhibition.
Was that Mizzou?
I'm talking about the exhibition. He just
Gonzaga. Was that the year we beat Gonzaga? Is that year?
Yeah. That's right.
Goodness, but I know he went off against Mizzou, right? Didn't Tyreke Key have that crazy game against Mizzou? But it was the same thing where Tyreke Key would have a 30-point game, and then you're like looking around, it's like, oh, another 4 or 5 point, or he's got a couple shots up, and you're like, you're a really good shooter. Why are you not getting shots up? Like, why is Tyreke Key not shooting a bunch?
I need to just see right now if you can still get one.
with Tyreek
Ah.
Hill.
It doesn't pop up on a quick Google search if you can. I'm pretty sure it was this football season, or maybe it was at least when I was shopping
Was
for
it
the
a
2024 national championship gear. You could still get one.
was it Tamari Key, or we thinking was it a Lady Vols, or was
No, it was a
actually
number
Tyreek
4. It was a number 4 Tyreek Key
Hill? Mm.
jersey. Yeah. No,
That's like Jake
I-
Locker. You can still get Jake Locker jerseys at TJ Maxx.
If you go to the right Ross, I bet you could find one right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is a
No.
fun question. It's not on the show sheet, I'm sure, but now you have me thinking. Who's your guess of like? Because I love seeing like old jerseys. Like I have a old Tyler Bray white Tennessee jersey that I still like to rock over a hoodie during game day in the fall. I'll always ride for Tyler Bray, but who's going to be the hypal one through 4 years? Who do you think is the one who we've seen the 4 years that outside of Hendon? Because I think Hendon's the obvious answer here. Of like, we're going to be at a game at Neyland 10 years from now, and you're like, are they wearing a? Because now you can put their names on it. You can see the jerseys, and they're selling it like that. Who's the one that you like? The random one we're going to see a lot of. We're like, okay, they loaded up on the NIL jerseys for this guy back in the day. I can't believe that there are this many jerseys here. Like, who is that?
Is it Nico?
Who
Is it who?
There was a lot of Nico jerseys.
You can't
this
do
year.
Nico either.
is that
Okay.
random though?
I also don't
probably
think it's
not
gonna be
random.
Nico. I don't. My gut is I don't think you're gonna see a lot of Nico.
Is it
10 years from
Hyatt?
now.
Hyatt could be it's not really
Hmm.
random, but that's
I feel like you're going to see a lot of number 11 jerseys because I know those are popular for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not random. I feel like I see a lot of. I mean, you'll see a lot of 27s, whether they say Pierce on the back or not. You'll see a lot of those. I think you'll see a lot of 6s. I don't know if those are random. It might be too early for the random.
I think Kamal Haddon's got some good buy low potential.
I think just the number 5 in general
Yeah.
could be really, really good.
Brew McCoy. You see a lot of Brew on there.
You see Brew. You'll see Brew.
I'm not gonna think of Brew as 5. I did like. Also, can we talk about
No,
like
it's
the
terrible.
number changes they did this past year? Just atrocious.
It
Should not have
never
been allowed.
works. They should never be allowed. Ramel Keaton is a prime example. Should never be allowed.
Oh, for football. For baseball, it works.
Do you like Dean
Sure.
Curley going to 1? I don't like Dean going to 1.
Christian Moore went to 1. He was 7 his freshman year. So
Wait, what was he his freshman year?
Christian Moore was 7 his freshman.
Was he
year.
really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
To be fair to baseball numbers, I feel like they're so apart from baseball players. I feel like even in the major leagues, like almost always, the shot you see of them doesn't have their number in it.
Yeah.
Like it's that front jersey. They just feel so apart.
I don't want.
from
I don't really
baseball
want to talk
players.
about the Tennessee baseball jerseys right now. It's kind of a sore subject.
Oh, is it? Go on.
They're terrible.
I'm ready to go to ball. I'm ready to go to baseball. So if we need to kick it off with being upset about the jerseys,
I'm not really a fan either.
The new jerseys are terrible. Like I don't know what happened. I mean,
Let
just-
me
they're
fire
not
off
good.
my
not good.
instant reaction because the one I saw was I haven't been on Twitter today.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they were released today.
The white one with the
I'm just talking about the white
orange
one, and
outline.
then just like they get like stuff I've heard on the other ones that they wore. Like I don't know.
Is it the white outline? Is it the Vol script or what is it?
I mean, it's that orange little cut like down the middle.
Yeah,
like
it's
it's like
a button up down the middle.
yeah, it looks ridiculous.
It has the big
doesn't
power
look good.
T on the right. It's not good. And those were they
Mhm.
had those not too long ago. I don't know if they were Nike or that was when Adidas was still sponsoring, but they had like something similar to that. And I was not a
All
fan
I
of
want
them
is to
then.
do with do a mixture of the Todd Helton era. Like get the old school UT script, like the pinstripes. How are we not doing pinstripes? Like that just being one of like it's don't overthink this. It's classic. There's a lot of good vintage looks that Tennessee can incorporate.
If
with
they
what
get
have
rid of
right
the
now.
cream, I'm riding.
Oh no! If the cream's gone, like just no, can't do it.
No.
What are they wearing with those white jerseys? Is it white pants? I feel like
Yeah,
you have to
white
go
pants.
I feel like you have to go something like
I think it would
I don't know,
look
maybe
really
you
dumb
can't.
with anything else. Yeah. With that down the
I
middle.
think it would look really dumb with white pants though.
I don't think it looks good at all. You can't save it. Like
It's
it
probably
just-
the right answer.
they're just not
Yeah.
good. Like it's just I want them to be great. I like the cream uniforms are just fantastic. I think
I
that might
think
be my
I would-
favorite uniform in Tennessee right now.
I think I would like that jersey a lot more if it was like a Vol script through it.
I don't know. It's the stuff down the middle is just terrible.
I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, why get rid of the icy whites if they are for that? I mean,
I
I'm
also
not.
don't like the smoky grays. I've never
I
been.
hate the smoky grays, and we've had a lot of players tell us it's our favorite, and it makes me not like them
Wait,
anymore.
players like them? Like,
Oh, yeah,
I think they like the look, but every single one we talk about, they love the whites and the grays because of the feel of them too. So I think that's a factor.
Yeah, because they look like pajamas. Maybe they're just really
Right.
comfortable. Maybe that's just how
Apparently-
they really are playing like they're playing in pajamas.
Apparently, the whites are the most comfortable of all time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
And
care about
I don't
comfort.
know
I
why
care about
we
how it
did
looks. Aesthetics.
the Vols like Nike lettering and not the Vol script for the black jerseys, but
We won
What?
a freaking national championship wearing that awful lettering.
I know.
That terrible font.
and those are on the
It will haunt me for the rest of my life.
they're on the rings.
But the
I
hats are
mean,
great. The black hats.
the
with
black hat's fantastic.
orange script, the old school script. It's just chef's
Wait, is
kiss.
that new? You talking about the old interlocking UT?
Yeah, the old interlocking
Okay,
one.
yeah.
It,
On
like
the
that's
black
my
hat,
favorite
yeah.
hat. Like that should be what they wear with the black uniforms.
Mhm.
And honestly, maybe incorporate that in the over the Vol script and like doing something like that. I don't know. I don't really like the white pants with it. It looks weird with the white pants.
The black jerseys.
Yeah, the black jersey with the white pants.
Yeah, you got to go gray pants.
I think
Yeah.
I need to. I've been saying this for a long time, Chase. Pinstripe pants. I want to see that over
Pinstripes are
pants.
great. I don't know why they don't do pinstripes more. And you saw like
Apparently
the vintage, like
those
that lighter
uniforms
shade of
suck.
gray with the pinstripes. There's ways to do this. This
Apparently
should be
those-
more of a open discussion with fans who are like us, who are watching intently and are uniform aficionados. They should incorporate some fan feedback on these. Be like, so we can stop this before it happens because this cannot happen.
Apparently, the pinstripes that they currently have are the worst uniforms to wear.
Really?
Yeah, they're super uncomfortable,
They're
super
just
heavy. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's George Costanza when you need him?
Oh, that's
Goodness gracious.
a great bit having George Steinbrenner just throughout an entire. He's a reoccurring character on a sitcom.
Yeah.
It rocks. Vol baseball. Speaking of that, we are
Mm-hmm.
now 3 days away. I mean, this time we'll be in the way these games move now. I mean, we might be wrapping up Hofstra on Friday night. They've announced the Friday and Saturday night starters. Landon, we'll start with you, known baseball guy. What's the energy like? Liam Doyle's expected. Marcus Phillips on Saturday. What you like? What you're seeing?
I mean, Liam Doyle was going to be there regardless. I think Marcus Phillips has really come on, and they probably wanted him to be in this role. But, I mean, last year he just didn't make the most of his opportunities. Just couldn't find the zone. And, he's got all the velo you could ask for. Probably the highest on the team, I would say. But him or Nate Mead. So, and it's a good combination with you go lefty on Friday, righty on Saturday. I'm interested to see who that Sunday guy is. It'll probably be different for the next couple of weeks, but I think Marcus Phillips getting that nod on Saturday is probably telling on how much he's grown since last season.
Yeah. Do you have a thought for who we see on this Sunday, Chase? Or
Seems
who
like
you
it's
want
gonna
to
be
see?
Snead right out of the gate. They're gonna go with comfort with their older guys early on, but I think we're gonna see rotation on Sunday at the very least. But every new thing about AJ Russell is kind of like raising an eyebrow for me. It's like, oh, AJ Russell, like it just seems like he's gonna be back sooner than all of us expect. In the back, I don't know if they put him in the starter role eventually, but I mean Tegan Coons, I've just kind of assumed is just going to be one of those weekend guys. When you have Vitello comparing him to Tidwell, and you ask any player about like the freshman pitchers, the first one that comes up is Tegan Coons, and my guess is he comes in. But I love like two things. The one is Tennessee should only start transfers on Friday nights. Like it's just an unbelievable
theme
track
now.
record here. Can y'all name like the last non-successful Friday night transfer starter for Tennessee?
Was it
It
Blade?
was Burns, right?
It was Burns,
Oh,
but then before
Burns.
that, and Burns lost it to Lindsey and saved the season when you go to Lindsey. So
Yeah.
Lindsey calmed things down from Charlotte in 23.
Was it Chad
Friday.
Dallas?
I was gonna say it had to be Chad Dallas then, right?
Yeah.
But he was a
Tidwell-
JUCO guy. Does that
I was going to say
count?
it's before Chad.
I don't think JUCO can count as transfer though.
It counts. We got to throw it in there. No, it counts as transfer.
Don't start on me. What's the Jason Brown? It's like Jason Brown now because you're gonna start going JUCO because of this new rule.
I mean, but it does. I think you have to throw it in there. But I mean, it's just for whatever reason, Tennessee's done really well. Doe, obviously on Friday's his first year. Lindsey was awesome on Friday nights from the middle of the year on. Last year, you have Kazi out of the gate was good, and then him and Stamos figured things out on Friday nights. I mean, Liam Doyle, you just lock in. You're like, I'm just gonna go ahead and pencil in Liam Doyle's gonna be really good for Tennessee on Friday nights. But Marcus Phillips is like a great I don't know how y'all feel about this, but Marcus Phillips is like either he is the highest pendulum of anyone on Tennessee baseball this year. It's either gonna be like he could be the best pitcher on Tennessee and have like an MVP type year where you're like, whoa, this dude's like a potential first round pick, like this guy, all the talent in the world, or he gets this opportunity. It does not go well early. The command still isn't there. And like, he's just kind of a forgotten bullpen guy. And it just, you're like, remember when Marcus Phillips started the first part of the year? Like those two, like, it's just, does that make sense? Like, I just feel like that's his ceiling and floor are so crazy. But I love that Tony's going to try it because he's all the talent in the world. Like, I hope it all works out for Marcus Phillips, but I think it's worth trying. The beginning part of the year is I have no idea what to expect from Marcus Phillips, but I'm here for it. It makes the first part of the year extremely entertaining. And if he works out, great. That solves some stuff and takes a lot of pressure off some of these young guys for Tennessee.
Sure. Last thing here, both of you can answer, or just one of you. Expectations for this Tennessee baseball team. I imagine they're kind of off the charts, especially when you consider the full context of Tennessee baseball. Is it fair, and is it just something that those around the program or those that maybe, hey, pump the brakes, let's see what this team does? It's a lot of new faces. You just have to hey, you're gonna have to accept it. They've been dominant for so long, then follow that up with a national championship. Is that just the way things are now?
Do you want to go first, Landon?
Is Landon frozen?
Oh, Landon's frozen.
That's impressive. He's been.
Well, I will say I think this is kind of a step back.
Okay.
Is my gut is I think if they went back to back, it wouldn't surprise me.
And not that the national championship is necessarily the expectation, but like you're talking like again in the context of Tennessee. Now you're like, hey, you should be competing for the SEC and you should be in Omaha. In my opinion,
I think those are all
expectations
fair
of this team.
Yeah.
So are you like, hey, you're just gonna have to live with that? Like that's what they are. Even if
Right.
you're a fan that's like, hey, pump the brakes, got to see what this team has. That's just what it is.
I think that's true. I would say the most interesting thing to me with this year and why I think it's kind of a transition year, and I think you can be really good, be an Omaha team, be one of the 3-4 best teams in the SEC, but this is the first number 1 overall class Tony's had at Tennessee, and this freshman group, Caleb, it's loaded, specifically in the lineup. And I just think there's so many mouths to feed and that they're going to rotate and have it to figure some stuff out, and there's going to be so much competition there. My gut is, like, you just hear everything you hear about Stone Lawless, Levi Clark, Manny Moran, obviously Jay Abernathy, Chris Newstrom. Like, I just feel like this class that's coming in is going to be like the next, like, just juggernaut number 1 overall seed in Omaha, either next year or the year after. I just feel like it's going to be really interesting to see how Vitello blends these guys who are going to push for playing time right out of the gate here because they're that talented with some veterans, some transfers and stuff like that. Like, I don't know how that's going to go. You don't want to miss some time. Like, Cannon Peebles needs to get healthy. Andrew Fisher needs to get healthy because there is real ready to play now talent, it seems like, behind so many guys right now. And you can just kind of see there's just so many stars in this freshman class for Tennessee that I'm curious how that works, because I think it could be kind of a bridge year in that way.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the most interesting kind of thing about this team is, can they weather any of the negative that's going to, because this is a team I think it may take time to work out. I do still have that expectation of this is a team that's going to compete for the SEC crown, and this is going to be a team that if not in Omaha, like right on the cusp of Omaha, but I do think it's going to be some growing pains throughout the season and finding the right pieces and finding not just who the right pieces are, but where they fit. And so I think that is the case, but I expect them to compete. And that's a byproduct of success is you get thrown the expectation of success, and it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's just, yeah, that's the new reality Tennessee baseball lives in, and get
They
used
need
to it,
Reese
folks.
Chapman to be a star.
Yeah.
They need Dean Curley to be one of the best players in college baseball.
Absolutely.
Both doable. They need Hunter Inslee to hit another level. I think that's possible.
I think Hunter Inslee has a role where he can play a similar role to what he did last year, but it takes those elevating around him. I think the more you need from him right out of the gate is just a leadership aspect. Like you've been here, done that. You have to bring him along with you. As far as what he does at the plate, because I don't know if you can get any more out of him in the field.
I don't know. He's got better. You look at his numbers. He's gotten better every year.
I just look at last year and I'm like, the way he patrolled center field, there's a better to that would baffle me. And
I would
it is
more at the plate. Like
if you can get better at the plate, I think that just takes that team a whole.
If he can get to 300, which is about where he was. If he can be like 305 and like 16 to 17 home runs potentially, like that's huge.
Yeah.
Like Tennessee, they're just missing so much at the top of that lineup that I just think they're going to need some juice from Hunter. Like I just think they need a little bit more from Hunter. I think Andrew Fisher and Keelan have to be like plug and play, like really good. Right.
I think you hope you can get that from Hunter. I think there is a way though, if you just get his consistency and his big play ability, like his big time ability where he makes the plays when they're needed to, then I think you can still be very successful without him necessarily statistically being much better. But that obviously that's a ton of ifs in there and you don't want that. But I mean, I think he's back because of his ability, his glove, and then his leadership that he's going to bring.
I mean, this is his team now, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't think there's any denying like it's him.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Well, let's go watch this game and we'll get off of here. Appreciate you guys tuning into this week Home and Home on More Important Issues. Chase, tell them where they can find you before we get out of here.
YouTube.com/Chase Thomas Podcast. Like and subscribe. Full episode, shorts, clips, all the good stuff over there. The website, ChaseThomasPodcast.com for all the access to all of my previous episodes and information about the show. All the good stuff, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. SportsRenaissanceMan.com for all my Tennessee writing each and every day. So you can subscribe there as well. But Caleb and Landon, who jumped off, thank you guys as always for doing this. And I'm excited to talk on the CTP next week, sir.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.